G'day Argy crew. Hope you're having a fantastic day today and your family's happy and healthy. Merry Christmas, by the way. This should be coming out Christmas Eve-ish, this video. It's a much requested video about how did I set up my R5 bundle to operate in ETS and ATS. And I'm going to make this a reasonably fully comprehensive one. The one thing I'm not going to do is show you how to download the Moza Pit House. It's pretty straightforward. Just download it and install it, and away you go. What I'm going to do is I'll run through the menu on the left here, item for item, and tell you what they are and how I've set each and every one up. Now, my bundle, I don't have my best way to describe it is the electronic wheel on there that connects to the wheel and has all the buttons. I just have a standard truck wheel, as you can see up in the top right there, and with my wheel cam. I just have a standard truck wheel, and I have the base underneath, which is the R5 base. I also have the indicator stalk. This is a cheaper version that I got off of AliExpress. If you're wanting to know how much it is and where to get it from, there'll be a link in the description to where I get all my gear from. It is an affiliate link. I earn a couple of bucks out of it. You'll probably get it a bit cheaper by using my affiliate link. But anyway, so you can check that all out there. But let's get this out of the way before we start. If you're looking at joining a VTC, again, links will be in the description. If you're looking at just having a chat with us on Discord, again, links and invitation to our Discord channel down in the description. In fact, everything that you need to know is in the description. So please read that first before you ask any questions, because it should have all the answers down there for you. If it doesn't, then ask away and I'll only be too happy to help you out. All right. So, like I say, now this is going to be fairly comprehensive. I haven't planned this out. I'm just doing this off the cuff. So if I make mistakes, I apologize. But I don't like scripting things because it seems too planned out and too plastic. I like doing things off the cuff quickly and try to explain it as best I can. Again, I'm using a standard truck wheel with no electronics in it. It's just a standard wheel, so there won't be any information on that type of wheel. But it will be the settings I use for the wheelbase of the wheel and the instrument cluster. Well, not the instrument cluster because it's not part of the wheel. But you get the point. All right, so at the top is your home button, okay, over here on the left. And basically all that is it shows you your wheel and the rotation that it does and how to center it, etc. So if your wheel's like that and you want to center it, you go like so. Now the wheel is off. So if your wheel's off like that, you've got your wheel centered, and it's like that, you just click center. Very hard, but easy to do. So on this page, I have the maximum steering angle set up at 1440, which is what I find is more like a realistic steering angle. Even though they say that the 1800 is heavy truck angle, I find this is more realistic. I've driven trucks in real life, and to me 1440 is the closest thing to that. So I have that at 1440. You can set it at whatever you want. A lot of people do 900, some do 1800. I go 1440. Again, your choice. Force feedback I have at 100%, again on this page, and work mode. My pedals are all set up and rocking and rolling. You can click any of these more links, and they will take you to the pages. But for now, we're going to do the menu down the left. We'll come back to that later. So by clicking this one, this is the wheelbase. This is where all the magic is done. Again, I'm going through telling you what these are. We'll come back to the settings after. You've got the advanced settings. You've got your force feedback effect equalizer. You've got your base FFB curve. You've got your miscellaneous and your button mapping. Then here, this is where the electronic steering wheel or the wheel that comes with the bundle will be if you've got it connected.
and you can fiddle with your stuff here. I don't have it connected, so I don't have anything, and I won't be explaining that because that's not what I do. Here in the pedals, these are my curves that I have. As you can see, I've got a different curve for my brake curve to make it a little bit more realistic. The throttle and clutch are linear. Again, we'll come back to these settings and I'll explain them all later. Here is your display. If you're using a display, you can choose which one it is here. I don't, so again, I don't use it. Hub, don't use it. Shifter, don't use it. I've got my own different shifter. Same with the sequential, don't have that. Don't have a handbrake. The multifunction stalks, I have, like I say, the cheaper AliExpress version, which work fine. There's not a problem with them. I had to bodge them up to get them to fit, but once I did, they're working fine. Local presets, again, I'll come back to that. What a local preset is a profile that you set up for each individual game that you are running, and this is where you can come in and edit and do whatever. Then you've got here, you've got your firmware upgrade. You can come into this button to check your firmware to see if it's up to date. You can check for updates by pressing there. It will then tell you that a new firmware upgrade is available. I'm going to run you through that because there's some very important stuff that you've got to do if you're doing a firmware upgrade, and some warnings. Then you've got Moza Coaching. It just explains everything about that there. I've never used it, so I don't know the full story on it. But anyway, it's there if you need it. Then you've got the system settings. And again, I'll run through all those when we come back step by step, explaining why I use them. And if you do need any help, you've got right at the bottom your question and answers section, which then takes you to a website, the Moza website. And in here, it has all your questions and answers. And hopefully you can work on it from there. If not, again, only too happy to help you out. So let's start up here in the basic settings. All right. Well, actually, no, we'll go with the firmware because you should make sure that your firmware is up to date if you can. But again, some warnings, and they actually show you the warnings, which is good when you come in here and go to do your firmware updates. It'll tell you what the firmware update is fixing by hovering over it. And the latest firmware update is 1.2.7.12. I'm on 1.2.6.7. It's been a while since I've upgraded, but I'm going to upgrade, and hopefully I don't have any problem. And that's why I'm going here first, is because you should always make sure it's up to date, but again, with a few warnings. What you need to do before you do the firmware update is write down what version you're on now. Because if the version you're on now is fine and everything is working, there really is no need to update if it's working fine. Mine is working fine, but I'm going to update for the purposes of this video to show you how to do it and how to roll back if there is a problem. Right, so here you can see I'm going to click Firmware Manager, and then it'll say it's running, and what you've got to do, wait for this to pop up and then choose the firmware, which that is the latest one. And when you click update, it will give you the warning. So it says here, firmware upgrades may potentially encounter issues. Please proceed with caution when upgrading. If you are satisfied with the current force feedback and stability, it is not recommended to upgrade. In case you encounter usability problems after the upgrade, please revert to the previous version and provide feedback on the issues with the new version to Moza customer support. All right, and then again, it will explain to you what the problems that have been fixed. So if you're experiencing these problems, then go ahead and update your firmware. If you're not experiencing any problems, then just cancel and stay on the firmware that you're on. But I always try to have the latest firmware so that I can test it, because I like to test things for people. And then if I find any problems, I can try and fix them and then tell people how to fix them. So anyway, for now, we're going to upgrade or update. And I'll come back to you once it's all updated. Okay, so it has successfully updated. So once it has updated, you can now just close that, and it should show you here that it's on the current version, as you can see there, which was the 12. And once you've updated your firmware, you'll have to calibrate your wheelbase again. So click Wheelbase Calibration, and then read carefully what it tells you to do, because you've got to follow the instructions. When resetting and calibrating the wheelbase, do not connect the steering wheel or forcibly disconnect the power supply, and do not touch the motor shaft, otherwise the rocks will be abnormal. So the first thing you need to do is take the wheel off. So we're going to take that off, and now we've just got the wheelbase there, and we shall now start calibration. Calibration then runs through all the different things, telling you how long it will take. As you can see, there is 25 seconds remaining for the base parameters reset. Will be automatically restart. By the way, you'll hear beeping and clicking and whatnot going on while this is all being done. But again, just be patient, let it do its thing. And then once it's finished, I will now show you how to roll back. In case you find problems, I'll show you how to roll back to a previous version, in case you do have those problems. Like I say, you shouldn't though. It's very rare that you do, although a few people recently reported that they've had problems with the latest update. I yet to try it, which you can see I've just done that now. Hopefully I don't have any problem. And we're just about finished with the calibration. Oh no, oh that's right, the cognitive calibration has to go on. Well, I'll come back to you once it's finished. Okay, so when the calibration's finished, this will come up, press finish, the system will automatically restart. And again, just as a warning, make sure you remove the steering wheel. Do not touch the shaft. Don't play with your shaft, all right, while it's doing the calibration. And also do not disconnect power supply or anything like that while this is going on, or else you'll have weird results. All right, so again, don't touch anything, let it do its thing, click finish, and now the firmware is up to date. The wheel will restart. Again, you'll hear beeping and whatnot. Now you'll see that that circle has gone back to orange. It means that it's restarted and everything's rocking and rolling. There you go. And just give it a couple of seconds just to make sure it's not going to reboot anything or do anything. It's saying that everything is activated. Okay, so now if you do experience problems and you want to roll back, you've just simply got to come here to the cloud, firmware upgrade, click firmware manager, and then once it loads, come in here, find your previous version, click on it and update. I'm not going to do it because I don't want to roll back, but all you've got to do is basically what we just did, but with the previous version or versions, whichever one you prefer. Click on that and it will roll back to the previous version for you. But we're not going to do that, like I say, because I want to experience the new one and see how it works. All right, now I can put the steering wheel back on. Now the steering wheel's back on. I will now go back to the home page and make sure it's centered, which it's not because it's recalibrated. So now I'll center the steering wheel and I'll click center. Now everything's set. Everything is centered like I want it, and the firmware is updated, and we get the test to see if there's any problems. If there are and you can't fix it, you can roll back. All right. So again, on this page we have the maximum steering angle, which I've set at 1440 by just simply clicking that. If you want to change it, you just click those buttons to change it. The gain force intensity to 100% on this page again, and checking the pedals that they're working, although the clutch isn't working. Again, this normally does happen when you update. the firmware, the clutch won't work. So we'll go through that when we get to it, and I'll show you how to fix that. All right, so throttle works, brakes work, clutch doesn't. That is normal when you update the firmware, and it's easy to fix. So we'll then go to the wheelbase. Now this is where the magic happens for your force feedback. Now I'm going to go through the force feedback settings here in Moza Pit House and explain to you in detail how these are set up. Then we'll go on to the in-game settings, because they need to be set up as well. All right, so in your basic settings, again, making sure that your steering angle is on 1440 or whatever you desire. I find that, again, these are my settings, and if you find that they don't suit you, you can adjust them to your liking. This is just a starting point for you, and if you're happy with it, you leave it. If you're not, you can adjust it to your liking. All right, so there's this doesn't mean that they have to be these settings. These are my settings that I like. Try them. If you like them, keep them. If not, change them to your liking. I have synchronous on. Always leave that on. I have soft limit stiffness to 6. I have soft limit gain force strength off. And then over here, and then by the way, this explains basically by clicking on the information dot, it will explain what all these settings are for. You can restart the wheelbase here completely. You can restart and recalibrate the steering wheel or steering wheel base here as well. We're not going to do that because we don't need to. All right, gain force feedback intensity, like say 100%. Again, you can choose automatically by clicking them, or you can use the dial itself. Maximum output torque limit 100%. Always go for 100%. Force feedback reversal off. You don't want it reversed because it'll be feeling as though it's tugging right when it's actually tugging left. Hands off protection. Now you may want to do that when I'll read what it says. That's the best way to. The hands off setting is an algorithm which can detect the control and steering wheel and control the steering wheel to remain in the center position, avoiding violent shaking or wiggling. For novices, it is highly recommended to activate this setting to prevent any injury. Now that sounds pretty weird, but one of our drivers actually broke a pinky because his steering wheel jerked around and he had his pinky and it broke his pinky. But anyway, that's up to you. I leave it off. Steering wheel inertia. I think that's if you turn that on. Yes. So if that will only be accessible if you turn this on. But I have it off. So again, these are my settings. Your choice to turn this on. I don't know what you would set that to because I've never used it. Maximum wheel speed, I have it 100%. And then once you've done that, you would click save. Right, and then you've saved those settings. Advanced settings. All right, now this again, this is more to do with your feedback. And again, I've got a few settings that I leave at 0, and then I've got others that I've changed. You've got the force feedback interpolation or interpolation. Again, it will explain what that's all about. I found that it's best to turn these ones off. Force feedback center dead zone. I don't like any dead zone on my steering wheel, so I leave that at 0. Natural damping, I have set it 30%. So I found that that's the best. If you have it at higher, it seems way too stiff. If you have it lower, it feels way too loose. Again, place to start. If you prefer it higher or lower, your choice. Natural friction, I have that at 60%. Again, I found that that's the best for me, but if you don't, you can adjust that accordingly. Natural inertia, I have at 500%. Again, found that that's the best for me. Wheel spring strength, I have 0 because the only reason you would need that turned on is if the actual game doesn't support force feedback. And because these games do, I have that turned off. Gear shift vibration intensity. This is for any gear shifts that you have, like I'm pretty sure the Moza gear shifter has vibration control in it. I'm not 100% sure, but there are a few that have vibration in them, and you can use this to increase or decrease the intensity of the gearbox or gear shift vibration. Direct input effect tuning. Game spring 100%, game dampening 50%, game inertia 50%, game friction 50%. Speed dependent dampening, I have that at 0 because I don't worry about that. And start point of speed dependent dampening, again I have that at 0 because I'm not using it. Temperature control strategy sets the level of active temp control. Radical is highest. I have mine on conservative, and it explains what it's all about. The wheelbase temperature is controlled more conservatively, with the maximum temperature of the wheelbase surface controlled at about 50 degrees Celsius. A too high a temperature will limit the output of force feedback. So if it happens to overheat, which is highly unlikely, but it happens to, it will decrease the force feedback to allow it to cool down and regain its composure. All right, so that's what I have there. You can have it radical or conservative, up to you. Force feedback, effective equalizer. Now, I'm pretty sure that the default setting on this is just a straight line. I can't remember ever actually changing this, but as you can see, it is custom, so I must have. But I can't remember ever changing it. But I've left it where it is because it works. So if you want to mentally, excuse me, take a note of where my settings are here. So everything is 100% bar the 60 hertz and the 100 hertz. Right, 100 hertz is 0, and the 60 hertz is 90. Don't pretend to know exactly what this does, but again, like I say, I must have at one stage because I've changed it. Okay, base curve, I've left it basically a linear force feedback curve, so it's even all the way through, but it tells you what these ones do, and you can change them accordingly to whatever you want in here. But again, I go with the linear because I find it's better for what I want. Miscellaneous, standby mode, work mode. We're on work mode. Standby mode is if you want it to sit there and not take up any power or do anything. I have the base Bluetooth on. I have the base indicator on. Startup music, I turn that off. I find it annoying, so therefore I don't worry about adjusting the volume. Button mapping, that's totally, again, that's to do with if you're using the standard wheel that comes with it, with all the buttons. This will tell you how what they've, or show you that they're working. That it will light up as you press a button. They will light up and show you what the button number is, so that you can then use that to program it if you're using that wheel. Again, I don't, so I can't show you how to use that. So with any of these settings, when you change them, always click save. We'll go back to basic settings now, because this is where the presets are. All right. So once you've set something up and you want it to be the preset for that game, so whenever you start the game, this preset will be automatically selected. What you would do is set all your settings up. Go right through all these settings, set them all up, and then come here and click Save As. Okay, it will then ask you for a preset name. You'll call it whatever you want. Binding optional is which game you want it bound to. So you would choose either American Truck Simulator or Euro Truck Simulator 2. I've got this setting so it works on both. So I've saved it under the American Truck Simulator, and I've also saved it under Euro Truck Simulator. All right, so you would save one version of each in here. Okay, choose. So if we enter here, let's say, show you what this is about. It says select. So if you want to set it up for individual trucks, you can do so in here. So if you find that one truck needs to have a certain adjustment changed, you can come in here and these are the base trucks, or the default trucks, by the way. you can come in here, choose one of these, and it will then be preset to that truck. I don't go that pedantic. I just set it for American Truck Simulator, just the game, and that way it's the same for the game. Then of course you would click save. I've got to have a drink, people. My throat's dry. Sorry about that. So yes, once you've done the preset, you would click save and it automatically becomes saved. But you must also remember, excuse me, to click auto load preset, so that when the game starts, it automatically loads that preset for that game. So again, do all your settings, go to save as, enter the name, whatever you want to call the preset, enter the game you want it bound to, and then if you want a certain truck or whatever to be bound to, you can go one step further and do that. I don't, I just bind it to the actual game, then click save. All right, and then every time you start the game, this preset will come up and you don't have to keep resetting everything. So in other words, if for example you decided you're going to play Assetto Corsa and you've got a preset, or you haven't got a preset for that, you can adjust all this and then play Assetto Corsa. And then if you decide after you've played Assetto Corsa you want to start American Truck Simulator or Euro Truck Simulator up, when you do, because you have an auto preset, all the settings will be automatically returned to the American Truck Simulator or Euro Truck Simulator settings for you automatically, because you've got the auto load preset. All right, so if there's any questions on that, ask away, I'll help you out. Right, so that's that one. Again, we don't need to change anything in here if you're not using a wheel, but if you are, you can come in there and do it. Now in here, this is where we're going to work out why the clutch isn't working. But for now, as you can see, the accelerator or throttle is working fine. The brake is working fine. I have this curve set up because I found that this is very more realistic to a actual brake pedal in real life in a truck. It's nowhere near 100%. It's probably about 50% realistic, but it's more realistic than a linear curve. All right. But you can change. That's a custom curve. You can choose your own curve, the preset curves, if you like, and test them out. So if this doesn't work for you, you can then try whichever one of these and see if they're any better. Now again, I'm pressing on the clutch, nothing's happening. All right, so to get that working again, we just go to start calibration. All right, and it will say clutch calibration. You'll click start calibration again, press the clutch down a couple of times, and then end calibration. And it should now be working. There you go. That's simple. And you've just got to do that every time you do the firmware, because the clutch is actually a separate device to the accelerator and the brake. The clutch needs to be recalibrated. And at any time, if, for example, you find that you're pressing the throttle completely down and it's only going to, say, 43%, you can just come in here, start calibration, pump it a couple of times, end calibration, and calibration complete. And again, it's working fine. All right, so they're things just to remember with pedal. So that's just the settings. They're really, really easy. And again, you can have the auto load preset setting here. So again, once you've got your settings correctly in here, and you want to auto load a preset for your throttle, clutch, and brake, you can come here, click on load auto preset, click save as, give it a name, again select the game, and click save. And then whenever the game starts, you'll have your preset clutch, pedal, and clutch, throttle, and brake pedals all set up, ready to rock and roll. So they're the main things to remember. Always have that. So if you don't want to come back in here and have to reset everything each time, have that set so that you can have that auto load for you. So that's basically the settings that I do. I don't think there's anything else I do. Pretty sure again, yeah, that's just firmware. Yeah, this is Oh, that's right. Yes, back to the settings for the system. I choose English for my language because I'm English. Well, I use English as a language. I'm Australian. Then I use dark mode. You can choose either light or dark. I prefer to have dark. It's less of a strain on the eyes. Boot up, meaning will it start at boot up or not? You can choose to do that here. Hide in system tray after startup. I choose to do that. So once it has started, it just automatically drops down into the system tray. Keeps background running when closed. Yes, I have that so that it's always running when the game's or when the computer's on. Proxy mode. I'm not actually sure what this is, but I don't ever use it. But we'll read what it is so you can understand what it is, and so I can too. If you encounter network problems, such as an upload error report, can't get a new firmware, can't update program, device activity failure, etc., please try to turn on the proxy mode to solve after modification. You need to restart the program to take effect. Okay, so that's there. If you're having connection problems, basically they're saying use proxy. Software updates. Now, this is the actual software, the Pit House, not your firmware. A lot of people get a bit confused and they think that this software update is something to do with the firmware, but no, the firmware is for in your steering wheel itself, and the software update is actually for the Moza Pit House. So we'll check for an update. Let's see if there is one. And obviously there's not, which means I'm up to date with my software, so that's good. Okay, and if you have any errors, you can click here to report the error. DPI scaling. Okay, after modifying the DPI scaling, you need to restart the program and to take effect. Now, I've never turned this on. Let's see what happens. Wow. Well, we'll turn that off because I've never used it. I really wouldn't understand what it is. So unless I do a bit more testing, I can't really tell you. So I leave that off. Again, totally up to you whether you turn it on or off, but I leave it off. This again is showing you my setting. And then you've got all the about links and whatnot down here. So if you want to talk to the guys in Moza, find out about pre-purchasing and all that stuff, all here for you. So experimental functions. I haven't actually changed any of this. I'm just showing you it. It's showing you that if you want, you can basically change all these settings to give you the beta version of everything. I've got basically everything off because I've left it at default. I don't mess with it because I don't fully understand it. Eventually one day I'll probably test them out and I'll let you know exactly what it's all about. But yeah, so that's your experimental function. I highly recommend you don't do anything with it because it may cause problems with your software or wheel. I'm sorry if my voice sounds as though I'm losing it. It's because I've got a very dry throat. It's due to pollen in the air at the moment. All right, so again, down the bottom here, you have your help section, which takes you to the support center with all the questions that you need to be asked and answered. So that's basically it in the Pit House. Of course, down here you've got all the games that you've got in your computer that are compatible with your Moza steering wheel, and you can actually launch your games from here, and you can check if they're configured or not, and if they're not, you can actually configure them as well from here, or it will tell you how to configure them. And as you can see, I've got quite a few different games that I use this wheel on. All right, so that's the Pit House. So now we'll go into the game, which I have paused, and we'll go to the settings in game, and I'll show you how to set it up in game. So in gameplay, oh, excuse me, sorry. This is my hardcore profile, so therefore I've got things set up as realistically as possible. So from here, you can change any of these settings you want. This has got nothing to do with the steering wheel. These are just my realistic settings for hardcore. And then for my stability, this does affect your steering to a certain degree. But these are my realistic settings. I've got 70% truck stability, 35% cabin suspension stiffness. Suspension stiffness I have at 65. Drive shaft torque I have at 85. Braking intensity I have 95. Uneven surface simulation I have at 80%. Again, these settings really have nothing to do with it. Your suspension does have a bit to do with it, but this is more for the realistic type setting. Then down here, you have trailer stability, which I have at 70%. This is in hardcore, and this is realistic. In my other profiles where I'm not worried about it being realistic, basically I have that at 100%, I have that at 100%, that at 100%. I still have this at 85 and 95, and I have that at 80% still, and I have this at 100% when I'm in my stupid crazy profile where we just do stupid crazy things. But in the realistic profile, they're the settings that I use it for, and away you go. Now, in controls, this is where you'll be able to adjust the actual wheel settings, and that will affect your Moza wheel as well. So, of course, you have controller subtype wheel. Okay, you can choose from gamepad, joystick, wheel, whatever. We want wheel because it is the wheel that we're using. Now, in steering intensity, it adjusts the ratio of the device's degree of rotation to the wheel's actual degree of steering rotation. I have it at 1.1 because I find that's pretty good. You might want to try it at 1 to start with, because that means it's 1-to-1, and it may work for you. But I find that 1.10 works better for me. Again, my preference, but you could adjust that according to what you want. Steering non-linearity. I'll read you what it says here. Adjust the linearity between input and vehicle steering. Adjusting this value higher means the steering wheel will be less responsive when the wheel is at center, and will increase its sensitivity as the wheel is turned towards maximum lock. This can be helpful to smooth out steering inputs when driving straight. So if you find, for example, and I've recently used this to stop one of my trucks from doing this. When it was driving straight, I was getting a lot of wheel wobble like this, and by increasing this, I think it was increased. By increasing this, it removed that, and it made it a lot more smoother. But I find it, on average, if I put that at 0.12, my steering is it doesn't get the wobbles. That's the best way to describe it. So that's my setting. But again, try it for yourself and see which one comes better. If you're getting a lot of wobble, maybe increase it or decrease it and see what the effect is to your steering. It may or may not work, because there is another setting which we're going to go to down further that can affect that as well. So again, it's a balance. Of course, you want your steering animation range at 1440, the same as what you've got in the Moza Pit House. You don't have to have it at that. You can have it at whatever you want, but it'll look a little bit weird when you're turning your wheel 3 or 4 times. And if you've got that down at, say, 500, in the game, it's only turning once. So I put it at 1440, so it looks exactly the same as what I'm doing in real life. All right, so that's it's only animation. It doesn't affect anything except for the animation. So it's not going to affect your steering on the actual wheel. It just affects the animation in game. All right, so now here is where the magic in game happens. So here you've got an overall gain, and that's a force feedback gain. I've got it up at 175 because I found that at 100 it just didn't seem right. It felt too loose, too soft. The actual feedback was way too low. So you may want to turn it up higher. You may want to turn it down lower. I put it at 175% because to me that feels like the best emulation of a power steered truck. All right. Then centering at high speed, I have at 80%. Now this is the setting that may affect the wobbles that you get, the centering at high speed and centering at low speed. If you find that after you've adjusted that steering non-linearity and it hasn't helped the wobbling, you may need to come here and readjust these. You may need to have to readjust that centering at high speed or the centering at low speed. These are the settings that I've found for me work. Again, if it's not working for you, adjust it accordingly. But 80% to me is ideal for the centering at high speed. For centering at low speed, I found that 50% is perfect. Centering at low speed, internal friction, again, I've put that at 50%. Again, I find that that's the best setting, and I've experimented with it higher and lower and found that that's the best one. Engine resonance. Now, this is personal preference. Any higher than 2% to me is when the truck is sitting there idling, you're getting this. And that just doesn't happen in real life. Your steering wheel doesn't sit there doing this in real life. So I've put it at 2% where there's a slight vibration, only slight vibration through the steering wheel. Just a little bit of engine vibration is the best way to explain it. That's what resonance means. It's resonating. The vibration is resonating up through your steering wheel and causing it to vibrate slightly. I've put it at 2%, so I find it's the best. Some people prefer to turn it off completely. Some people like it turned up so that it's basically rocking you out of your chair. Again, up to you what your setting is. 2% for me is all I need. All right, terrain surface. Again, this is for feeling the different road surfaces as you go over them. I find that 25% is okay, although I may be turning this up since the latest update because I'm not getting the feeling of the surface as much as I used to. Terrain surface, like I say, it basically, when you're going over different surfaces of the road, you'll feel that through there, and that's the adjustment. Again, suck it and see, try it and adjust it accordingly. Bumps, 45%, so as you're going over bumps, this will jolt your wheel. If you have it too high, it's going to rip your arms off. If you have it too low, you won't feel anything. Collisions, again, self-explanatory. When you run into something, you'll get a jolt. Again, you have it too high, you rip your arms off. You have it too low, you won't feel anything. Gearbox grind, you'll actually get a bit of gearbox grind vibration through the steering wheel. So if you miss a gear, by turning this up, you'll feel it more. By turning it down, you'll feel it less. Very simple. Understeer slip and assisted steering. I don't use assisted steering. I find that it just doesn't work properly for me. And understeer slip is when you're going around a corner a little bit too fast, your wheels will slip, and this is what that emulates. I've turned it off. If you turn it up, you'll get understeer slip, where you'll start to slide across the corner of the road if you take the corner too fast. That's the best way to describe it. And these three are great at them. And then that's it. Then you've got just your normal stuff here for your pedals and for your steering wheel. Now I have it. I'll run through these again. But again, these are my personal settings and my personal preferences. But again, starting point for you, and then you can suck it and see and change them according to your liking. All right, so the Axis X or Joy X is for your steering itself. I have the dead zone at 0 and I have it centered. The acceleration or Joy Z axis is for your throttle. I have the dead zone at 20% because I find that if you have it lower, that if you just touch the throttle slightly, the truck's going to rev its guts out. So I put it at 20% and I have it normal axis mode. The Z is your brake. I have that at 15% for the dead zone so that if I rest my foot on it, it's not going to go off. but if I slightly start to push it, then it starts to actuate. And then I have it normal access mode. The clutch one is slightly different. Now again, this is your personal preference. What I've got it at is I've got the 50% dead zone, because I find that way it's engaging about a third of the way, quarter of the way down before it starts to engage. Because to me, that's basically what my clutch does, or used to do in my truck. It would be, I'd have to press it about a quarter of the way down before, or a third of the way, it's hard to explain, before it would engage. All right, but then the clutch range, I have it 50%, so that it's engaging and reaching full potential before I hit the bottom of its range, if you know what I mean. So it's engaging about a third of the way there, and now I'm about two-thirds of the way, and it's fully engaged. And again, I find that that's close to the realistic feeling for me. Again, suck it and see if it works for you. You may find that these are completely different to what you'd use. Normal, I have it set at, and that's about it. And then there's my gear shifts, but we're going too far there. This is just for the pedals and the steering wheel. So hopefully that explains it for you. So they're the settings that I use. Look at them there now. In game, and here. So that you can get an idea. And again, here for your clutch, brake, accelerator, and steering axis. They're the settings that I use. And again, these are starting points for you to use. And then if you find that you don't like it, you can adjust it accordingly from there. But at least this gives you an idea. Now, if you have any further questions, just make sure you watch the video in its entirety and go back over it if you've forgotten something. And if you still can't find the answer, no problems. Come over to Discord, ask there, and either I will or someone there will help you. Anyway, so yes, hopefully that explained it. If you did enjoy it, please give me the thumbs up. If you didn't, give me the thumbs down. Tell me if I missed something. If there's any other questions, like I say, go over to Discord, ask them. If you haven't subscribed already, please do so. Also, if you know somebody that might benefit from this video, please share it with them. It helps me out because there are more viewers, YouTube likes, etc., etc. And any support, I really do appreciate from the people that have been supporting me over this year. And thank you so much for being there with me this year. Hope you all have a Merry Christmas and an extremely good New Year. And hopefully be spending it with people you love, surrounded by them, and you have a happy and healthy break. All right, I'll hopefully catch you in the next one. So, bye for now.